Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Digital Summer Live Company Spotlight. Sadly, this is our last one because the summer clinic is coming to an end, but I'm very excited for our guest today and what we're going to be talking about. Make sure that you don't miss your chance to get your questions answered by writing them in the chat. Make sure you do that. And with that, I think we're ready to get started. So again, my name is Destiny Frank, and I will be your host tonight. And I'm here with Eric as a co-host. And Eric, who do we have today?
Yeah, today we have the pleasure of speaking with Andrew Israel, who is an experienced data specialist and the project engineer at Autaza. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Eric and Destiny. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Andrew, for coming on. Could you give a brief introduction to yourself and kind of what school you attend and kind of who you are?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it's as it was introduced. I'm working with Autaza, which is a Brazilian-based company that is working in Southeast Michigan. We recently opened an office in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, the Spark offices there. So that's current state. My background is a technical background in physics, as well as material engineering at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. My undergraduate degrees come from Sewanee, the University of the South in Tennessee, Sewanee, Tennessee. So if anybody's been to Kalamazoo College or attended Kalamazoo College, Sewanee is about the same size as Kalamazoo. We actually did compete athletically. I was on the golf team at Sewanee and remember seeing K College coming in. So it's similar kind of a vibe. And yeah, it's great to be here tonight.
Thank you. Could you go more into the company Autaza and what your role there is as a project engineer?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned, yeah, this company is based in Brazil. So we have our primary office is actually near Sao Paulo. It's a town called San Jose de Campos. It's actually a university town similar to Ann Arbor and has a research park where our office is located, the Autaza office, the world headquarters, if you will. So that's where it started some 3 to 4 years ago. More recently in the U.S. office, I came on board to help work in the product development side as well as assist in the sales. As you can imagine, a small company, startup companies, you sort of wear a lot of hats. And that's why some folks like to work for these type of companies, because you get to do a lot of cool things and maybe one description doesn't quite fit all. So yeah, that's basically what it is for me, for sure.
Great. So I know Autaza is making advancements in AI technology, especially with zebra analysis. Can you explain what that is and how that improves quality control?
Yeah, I had to laugh, and thank you, Destiny, for putting that question out there, because I feel like our mascot should be the zebra, because this zebra analysis gets a lot of play, and when you talk about it in a meeting or discussion, people are always like, zebra analysis. What is this? It sounds kind of far out, but what it is really the patterns. So these are light patterns that have an alternate light and dark shading. So it looks like the stripes of a zebra, which, by the way, I've had just a slight aside. I did have the opportunity years ago to go to Kenya, and seeing these zebras in the wild is just way cool. So I don't know. I just love the zebra. So yeah, if we had T-shirts for Autaza, I think we would have to put the zebra out there. But we use that light pattern to shine on a surface, like say in the automotive sector, it would be say a bumper. A lot of what we do is sort of smaller parts. We can scan the whole vehicle for sure, but right now the challenge with say defect analysis in the automotive space is for smaller parts that have more curvature to them. And so using this zebra pattern to shine on the surface and create some interference patterns, then we collect the images from that, and our AI software is able to analyze those images. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but it really does hinge on that zebra analysis.
I was actually watching a video of it earlier, like the technology. It has like a huge crane and like the light source. I thought that was really fascinating, seeing it how it scanned like that. So it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, no, it is. We have unfortunately, because of the size, as you mentioned, it's not conducive to Spark East. The setting there is more of an office park. So we do have an installation in Auburn Hills at a robotics company called ABB that works around the world. They have pretty much the lead market share in all industrial level robots. So we have an agreement with them to host one of those camera heads that you saw online, and we can take customers or potential customers there to see the zebra analysis in action.
Really cool. I know you mentioned and talked about it earlier how it was that this started in Brazil at a university. What has been like kind of the ups and downs of expanding to the US, and what is like being a startup here?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I've been with a couple other startups and they were always US based, at least the initial phases. So just doing business in different countries, I mean, that on its own, anybody that has worked for a multinational company would probably know what I'm talking about, is that just the laws are different in every country, and obviously the culture is different in every country, and that's obviously exciting, to have some of those differences, but it also can be challenging. Certainly the communication can be challenging. I've been trying my best to learn some Portuguese, but it's a challenging language. But I'm very happy to say that our staff is, I mean, I don't know, I guess it may be just the schooling. I think English is just started at a much younger level or whatnot. So a lot of our staff are just well versed in English, so it doesn't really challenge us that much in that sense. But I do get a lot of slides in Portuguese, so Google Translate is kind of like my best friend when it comes to that. But so yeah, those just and the distance, obviously with COVID too. I mean, that's been kind of crazy because we can't really travel back and forth like we might want to. And so, yeah, there are a lot of just challenges that we're dealing with. But I think because we're small, we're agile, and we've got a lot of great problem solvers, we've been able to overcome some of these challenges.
That's really great. I think we may have some questions in the chat. Eric, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we sure do. So our first question is from Bud, who asks, what motivated Autaza to come to Michigan versus, say, Birmingham, Alabama?
That's a great question. And I wasn't on those tours. I kind of, it would have been fun to be just sort of in the back seat of Renan's, Volvo or whatever it was that he was traveling the country, because literally that's what happened. I mean, they'd made a decision. The board there in Brazil had made a decision. They wanted to expand to the U.S. Well, there was no real discussion. Well, I'm sure there was discussion about where in the U.S., but initially it was just let's go to the U.S. and then kind of figure it out, when we get there. And so yeah, he canvassed a lot of cities that would have catered to certain technologies that were being produced. I think we could certainly say because of our connection to the automotive industry, and that's really how Autaza got a big foothold in the quality control market, was through partnerships with, say, GM in Brazil. It was a natural leap to move into the Southeast Michigan region with the big three, but it wasn't just a slam dunk either, because there's a lot of other considerations, finding an office space, hiring. There's tons of things that you would look at, cost of living. So I think certainly Spark, having connected with Spark, that was a huge added bonus. And it really has been a great partnership so far.
Jamie Ward asks, what do you enjoy most about working in automotive and AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that, because I had worked in a previous AI company that, it had some applications with the automotive, but certainly not so much inside a factory, like on the factory floor. And so that has been like a whole learning experience, how to apply this really niche software in such an industrialized setting. I mean, if you go into, and some of you may work in these settings or know people that do, I mean, it's wild in there. I mean, there's stuff going on 24/7, huge, instruments and whatnot. And so being able to adapt to that and bring our technology there has been exciting. Again, more challenges because every floor is different. Every floor plan is different. Some of the robots, you may have to size them certain size to fit the speed of the robot in order to keep the production line moving at a certain rate. We cannot disrupt that speed of production. So, that's all been a great learning curve. And so, yeah, I would encourage anyone with that sort of interest to bring it on, because AI is a great disruptor, but it also has to learn how to play well with other existing technologies or just industries that are out there. So that's really been a big goal for us.
Speaking of challenges, we got this another question from Alessandra, who asked, what is the most challenging part of your job?
Yeah, great question, Alessandra. I appreciate it. One of our wonderful interns, by the way. I'll give a quick shout out to her and to Colin, who may be also in attendance. It's been great working with you guys this summer. Yeah, I mean, the challenge, I think, just putting all those hats. And me personally, I'm a person that likes to kind of try everything, and so I have a tendency to get going in so many different directions that it could almost be a hindrance at times, because you have to be able to focus too to get through and to get a task complete. But it is exciting being part of a young company and a startup like this. And again, the culture just adds another layer to that. So having these meetings in the morning and talking the Portuguese, I mean, that's been fun. So yeah, I think it's just sort of melding my personality in with this sort of melting pot of a company. Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun ride so far.
All right, one more quick question. Alessandra also asks, what resource, including software, books, and online class, etc., has helped you the most in your job?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I would plug not so much for this position, but the previous position. It dealt a lot with Python, and so actually Python does come into play in Autaza. I'm personally not working as much into Python right now as I was with Voxel 51, but I would encourage anyone who has just a little bit of interest in coding to take a Python workshop, particularly for machine learning and these type of computer vision applications. It's invaluable, and it's actually a really cool language to learn. I didn't have much background. I mean, as a physics major, I do recall having to take C++, one semester of that, but that was, eons ago. I mean, not to date myself, but so yeah, being able to kind of get back into that mode and go through the Python routine was fun. And so yeah, I would plug that. I mean, I think you can take classes online. Frankly, there's a lot of free stuff that you can do to just really train yourself up as that goes.
All right, I'll pass it back to you, Destiny.
Thanks, Eric. So I know you talked about earlier, like building like with your team and like working together kind of with a startup. How did you create, or how did you bring together the people for your US team? How did that come together?
Yeah, that's still sort of a in process situation. I think, with the COVID situation ever evolving and the hiring. I mean, I think we want to bring some more people on, but it's been a bit slower in that sense. That's why this engagement this summer was so valuable for us personally, is that we actually were able to bring on Colin and Alessandra as interns, and hoping that will turn into something more permanent, because we needed the help. We needed some marketing help. We needed some sales leads, generate some sales leads. And so those guys really worked hard for us. And so I think that's kind of our plan forward, is to use this momentum, this energy to kind of continue growing this office. because that really is the sort of the fuel that feeds the fire. These sales leads and the marketing efforts to make the deals happen and to ultimately close the deals.
Speaking of your interns in the summer clinic, what do you hope that the interns, Alessandra and I think Colin, working with you this summer, what do you hope that they gain from this experience?
Yeah, I think I would hope that they would take just a nugget back wherever, would be in the classroom or, some future position, whatever it may be, just a nugget of experience. Sometimes internships, you try to describe it down to a T in a little, paragraph or whatever. And then after week one, you realize you tear up that paper and you're totally off in a different direction. So that can happen. And it probably happened a little bit in some of these internships, which I think our guys probably enjoyed that and appreciated jumping in because it wasn't just sort of busy work, like here's this big sort of whiteboard project that we really have no plan of implementing anytime soon, but we just want to get somebody going. No, we actually have stuff we needed to move like yesterday. And so they were able to jump in on the ground level and really get this stuff rolling. So yeah, I think just that kind of team effort and understanding that it takes a lot of different creativity to tackle a problem. Take that back with you, and yeah, just take the joy of the Brazilian culture. I mean, it's a great group to work with, and even despite they're winning the gold in soccer, we'll give them that because they do it every time almost. But no, it's a great group, and I think they have taken a lot away from that experience.
Well, in our meetings that we have with the clinic, both of them have spoken very highly of your company, and it's been really great hearing like the updates every week. Before we get closer to the end, I want to make sure we have some more time to answer questions from the chat. Eric, do we have any more?
Yeah, we got one more, and I'll add to this question, but do you have any advice for college students and then potentially advice for past college students who are entering the workforce?
Yeah. We'll just take the current students right now. Being a former teacher, it's a bit of a soft spot for me just talking to students. I worked in junior college setting as well, all the way down into middle schools, and so there was always that. Yeah, we have the classroom, sort of relationship, but then I always appreciated being able to work with kids sort of outside the classroom or just on the side, any advice they might have about these kind of questions that you're raising about the future. Like what am I going to do with X or Y degree? And let me just say, in all seriousness, I'm still wondering that question. So it's not like something you have to solve at the moment of your senior year or your junior year or even after graduation. It's kind of a life process. And I truly mean that because we're always evolving. We're always, delving into new areas. So the degree may be fun and exciting and look really shiny now, but it doesn't define us as who we are. And so just kind of keep that in your hip pocket because, yeah, I mean, here I am, physics. I mean, yeah, I do some physics and it helps to have a technical knowledge of where I am. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing now that I wasn't trained on. And so it's really just being able to kind of ad lib and find your passions. I mean, again, sometimes we take majors because it's interesting at the time, but it may not really be our true passion. So I would always encourage you to follow those passions as best you can. And when they mold up to a job where you're actually getting paid for something that you love, I mean, that's like, kind of the holy grail that we all strive for. But, it's a journey for sure.
I have one more question from Sufyan Q, who asks, for someone thinking about starting a local business, what advice can you share with us?
Yeah, that's a good one too. Thank you for that, because I think you're in a good space. I'm assuming you're in Southeast Michigan, but if not, tap into your local agencies. We have a great resource here in Spark with that as far as business sort of development help and funding and all kinds of classes. I'm assuming a lot of communities do have an entity like Spark, but I think we are somewhat unique in that Spark is a a nation leader, frankly, in the services they provide. So if you are at all close to this area, please give them a call. You can certainly ping out to me. I'd be happy to lead you anywhere, because I've been sort of working on small businesses for a long time and do have some contacts. I also have a background in intellectual property, so sometimes that comes up when you have an idea and you're like, hey, should I go out and patent this thing or not? I'm always offering advice there, and I think that's good to talk to somebody before you get down the road too far on something like that.
All right, thank you so much. I'll pass it back to you, Destiny.
Thanks, Eric. I think that we are about done with our time, but thank you so much, Andrew, for coming, and really appreciate all the great advice and kind of hearing your experience and how it's led to where you are now. So really do appreciate you coming on, and I know a lot of people appreciate it too.
Oh, well, great. Thank you, everyone, for inviting Bud. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, check out Autaza. I mean, it's, we're a growing company. So if you have any follow-up questions on that, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you again. And I want to thank everyone who is watching. Thank you for following us this past couple weeks. I know I said at the beginning that this is kind of our last one for the summer, but don't worry, we have a lot of other exciting events coming up, including more lives in the future. So make sure you keep up to date with our Facebook and Instagram page for everything coming up this fall for the Center of Digital Engagement. And I hope you guys all have a great night. Thank you.